Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we read Parashah Tetzaveh, and in this parasha we have a remarkable insight in human interrelationships. We know that in this parasha Hashem commands Moshe to build a menorah, and he talks about all the garments of the Kohen Gadol and of his children and how they should serve in the Mishkan, at that time in the tabernacle in the desert. And so we see that in the Talmud it says Moses is true and his Torah is true. And then we see that in Pirkei Avot, in the Ethics of the Fathers, it says to us that we should be of the disciples of Aaron, one who loves peace, pursues peace, loves God, creatures, and draws them close together. And so this is the story of the formative generation of the Jewish people, the Jewish nationhood, and it portrays Moshe Rabbeinu like a leader. He was the leader par excellence. If you ever want to be a leader in any place in your life, just follow his footsteps and learn from him, his humility and his love for the Jewish people. And it talks about his leadership, but also it shows us that his leadership was not something that he was able to carry on his shoulders by himself. We see throughout the whole 40-year experience of the Jewish people in the desert, in all their travels, from leaving Egypt, crossing the sea, the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, and fighting against Amalek, and finally coming to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. And then we see all these things that happen to them, all the things that they have to fight within themselves and outside of themselves, and how Moshe Rabbeinu was able to lead this Jewish people to the land of Israel. But we see that he didn't do it alone. His partner was his brother Aaron. He was actually his older brother. And we see in the Torah that most brotherly relationships are not the best relationships. We see that Isaac with Ishmael was a terrible relationship. Esav with Yaakov was a terrible relationship. We see Yosef with his brothers, which was a terrible relationship. And suddenly we come to Menashe and Ephraim and Menashe. We see these two brothers that today in the Shabbat, after we do Kiddush on Shabbat, the fathers bless their sons to be like these two brothers. And then we see another set of brothers that exemplified this relationship, which were Aaron and Moshe. We know that Aaron was the older brother, Moshe was the baby brother, but nevertheless, Moshe was this leader. He was the one that was the leader. So we see also that Moshe is the one who feeds, nurtures, and guides the people of Israel. He carries their complaints, their rebelliousness, and then we see that Aaron was a person that everybody loved, and that he pursued peace. He made that people would be peaceful one amongst the other, and they would be able to have shalom within them and love. So we read a closer reading of this account, and it reveals that the leadership of Israel was a team effort. It was not something that he did on his own, and that at times we see that the role of Aaron HaKohen was a greater role, and there's times where we don't even hear about Aaron HaKohen, and the whole thing is about Moshe. So we see that also Moshe was supposed to carry this priesthood. This was going to be allotted to him, the Kehuna of Israel. He was the one that was going to be the leader and the high priest. But because when he encountered the burning bush, and Hashem told him to go to the land of Egypt and bring the people out, the Jewish people out, he gave him this role he said that he was not able to do it. He was like, he tried to get out of it any way he could. He was a person that spoke, that he used to stutter. And he was like, how am I going to be a leader if I can't even bring a sentence out of my mouth? Who's going to follow me? And because of this, Hashem took away the kehuna from Moshe and he gave it to Aaron. So when Moshe confronts Pharaoh, it is together with Aaron, who plays a major role in performing the miracles and bringing on the plagues that forced the release of the Jewish people. When God commanded his first mitzvah to the Jewish people, it addressed to Moses and to Aaron. A phrase that often appears in the Torah means the many. It says that God spoke to Moses. And we see, and God spoke to Moses, and God spoke to Moses, and he instructed his laws to Moses. And he said to Moses, tell your brother Aaron to do such and such. And we see that the conversation really is between Hashem and Moshe. And so we also, in the future parashas, the parashah of Korah, we're going to see how Korah brought this rebellion against Moshe, and he wanted to really take away the priesthood from Aaron HaKohen. He had a whole explanation of why it was meant to be for every Jew and not only for Aaron. But at the end of the day, we see that the truth prevailed. So what is striking about this Moshe-Aaron relationship is that it really doesn't fit the mold. Like, this is not the regular relationship between siblings. There's a lot of sibling rivalry, and especially if the older brother is below the younger brother. In this case, Moshe was the leader, and Aaron was the one that had to do what Moshe told him what to do. So we see that there is a clear-cut division of tasks between the two brothers. While Moses is certainly the most dominant figure, and Aaron is always full of integral, he's the partner, he's willing to do everything that Moshe tells him to do. The secret to this relationship really comes from understanding each role. Both of them understood that they worked for the same boss, that they were just messengers in this world in order to bring the godly presence to the world, and each one was given a different role. When we read about the Jewish couple, the husband and the wife, we would see that Moshe would be the dynamic of the husband. Aaron has the dynamic of the wife. You see, Moshe is the leader, he's the one with the pants, and Aaron is the one that's taking care of the house, and it's a dynamic. So what this Torah portion is teaching us is that there's no competition really when you're trying to fulfill a vision. When we're trying to fulfill the vision of Hashem in this world, there really is no competition. We have to be partners, and everybody has a place and a time to do what they're meant to do. So the Midrash reveals that originally Moshe was destined to be the Cohen, and as I said before, because of that conversation that he had with Hashem at the burning bush, then Hashem made Aaron the Cohen. So the construction of the tabernacle and their service, and in its case in point, in this Parashah of Tetzaveh, we read how God assigns to Aaron and his sons the responsibility of conducting the service in the temple, in the tabernacle, and that they are to represent the people in the endeavor to approach and interact with God by offering the sacrifices and by lighting the menorah. And we see that the domain of Aaron is the Mishkan. And as I mentioned before, Moshe is the one that receives all the instructions of how to build this Mishkan and how to make it, put it into working. We see that he even has to train them in order for them to be able to serve in the Mishkan. So the opening verses of Tetzaveh, of this parasha, offer a striking example of this interwoveness between Moshe and Aaron. It says God to Moses, shall command the children of Israel that they bring you to pure olive oil crushed for the light to raise the ever-burning lamp. In the tent of meeting outside of the Parashah curtain, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall arrange it from evening to morning before God. So every night, every afternoon, before it turned dark, Aaron was supposed to light this menorah, and Moshe was the one that would bring the oil. Aaron and his sons are entrusted with this task of lighting the menorah, but the oil for this lighting must be brought by Moshe. Indeed, in these two verses lie the key to understanding the partnership of Moses and Aaron in the leadership of Klal Israel. And this is the case of any leadership. You know, in any place where there's a leader, we need to understand this, that a leader is not standing by himself. He has someone that is interwoven within this leader that is helping him be a leader. So in Exodus, the Torah describes a dramatic reunion between these two brothers at the foot of Mount Sinai. 60 years earlier, when Moshe Rabbeinu was just 20 years old, he went out of the palace. He grew up in the palace of Pharaoh. He was adopted by Basia, who was the daughter of Pharaoh, and he grew up in royalty. He was never a slave. He goes out to look at the people. He wants to see what's going on. And at a certain point, he sees an Egyptian hitting a Jew. And at that moment, he looks to one way, he looks to another way. The Midrash explains that he was seeing if this person had a future, like if this person was able to do teshuvah, was he going to be good? But he saw that he was not good in the past and he was not going to be good in the future. So he did an intonation of the name of Hashem, and this Egyptian died. He just died. So what happened is that later on, he goes out and he sees these two Jews, Dasan and Abiram, who were actually brothers-in-law, and he sees them that they're fighting. And he tells them, like, isn't it enough with all the hatred that we receive every day, and you're being abused by the Egyptians? Isn't it enough? Do you have to fight amongst you? And at that moment, these two Egyptians look at Moshe, and they say to him, the matter has been known. So he realized that everybody knew that he had killed the Egyptian. So his life was in danger. So he left. He was 20 years old, and he left Egypt, and he went to a place called Midian. And in this place, Midian, he lived 40 years. He lived 60 years, 60 years. And there he got married with Zipporah, and he built a life. Then he meets Hashem, and Hashem tells him he has to go back to Egypt and take the people out. So this is when he meets Aaron. He's 80 years old already, and he's ready to come to Egypt and redeem the Jewish people. And God says to Aaron, go to the wilderness to meet Moses. He went and met him at the mountain of God and kissed him. And the Midrash describes the brothers' kiss in cosmic terms. So this is what the verse in Psalm 85 refers to when it says, benevolence and truth are met together, righteousness and peace have kissed. Benevolence, this is Aaron's, truth is Moshe. Righteousness is Moses, and peace is Aaron. So Moses and Aaron were commissioned to create a people who would serve as God's light into the nations, as the dissemination of God's wisdom and will to his creation. So this is a task, by definition, we would think it's an impossible task. God is infinite and absolute, but he created a world that's finite and completely unstable. Yet the Jew must understand that he has to swim through this paradox. His daily life is a paradigm of divine absoluteness. And he has to bring this light of truth, of peace, of benevolence, and of love to the world. The two sides of this paradox are expressed in the above quoted verses from the beginning of Tetzaveh. The people of Israel are called upon to raise an even burning lamp, a lamp that is eternal and unwavering and unvarying. Yet this lamp must burn and shed its light from evening to morning, within the ever-changing conditions of this temporal world, in which darkness and light alternate, intermix, and supplant each other. But here are the functions of Moshe and Aaron, which are the source of this pure oil that fuels that everlasting lamp. And Aaron is the one who introduces the light into the from evening to morning reality. But in reality, he needs the oil. If he doesn't have the oil, how is he going to light the lamp? So to forge the nation that will straddle this paradox require representatives of different divine forces at play. On one hand, the divine attribute of truth and benevolence. On the other, of truth and righteousness. On the other hand, the immutability of the attributes of peace and love and benevolence. And Moshe Rabbeinu, who, as I'm recording this class today, this shiur, today is the 7th of Adar, today is his anniversary, his birthday and the day of his death. It's a very potent day. A tzaddik is born and dies in the same day. And this is something that Haman didn't understand. When he decreed the decree that the Jewish people were going to be annihilated, he brought this decree on the 7th of Adar. Why? Because he didn't know that this was the day that Moshe was born. He thought it was a not auspicious day because it was the day that the tzaddik had died. But in reality, a tzaddik never dies. His light shines forever. He's more alive when he's in the upper realms than when he was enclosed in a body. So Moshe, the teacher of Torah and conveyor of divine wisdom and will, is the very embodiment of perfection and truth. Aaron, who spreads the human effort to serve God by uplifting to him materials of creation, is the vehicle of benevolence and peace. Together they make the perfect partnership to lead the Jewish people. They are the bridge between the creation and the Creator and the nation. So in our days, in our lives, it's very important to understand that not everybody comes to fulfill the same purpose. Each person comes to this world to bring light to the world. This is the reality. This is our mission in this world. Many people get sidetracked. They end up not bringing the light to the world. But in reality, we all come to this world to bring light. Everybody, no matter what nation you're from, what religion you are, no matter. And that's the job of a Jew. The Jew is the lamplighter of the world and is the teacher to the rest that this is what we have to be doing. So when we understand this, we'll never be jealous or envious of anybody because we will understand that we're all here as tools of the Creator. And with this, I want to give everybody a blessing that you know your worth, that you should know your light, and that you should be able to bring that light to the world with joy, with good health, and abundance of all good. So I leave you here, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.